Well, hi everyone. Welcome to yet another edition of our podcast on the Marc Sports Talk with your host right here, Marc with a C. And for those keeping track, this is our 176th episode in 176 consecutive weeks. How's everyone today?
Good. How are you, Marc?
How's everyone doing? You fine?
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Someone
How are you?
looking on the screen here. Of course, we reach out to all religions, but on the screen we have all the people who will be celebrating the New Year. What's the New Year? 57.
84, is it?
84, I think.
84. Yeah. Lashana Tova, everyone. All that stuff.
Tova.
Lashana Tova, yeah. So, some of you know the story. What happened to me after our show last Thursday. I go to sleep. I wake up. I got to do my errands. My car was stolen.
Oh,
I don't know.
Which one?
Which one?
My Honda Civic. So
Wow.
Honda Civics, I found that is the hottest car.
Yeah.
Could be stolen. Accord is, Honda Accord is number 2. Hyundai is the number 3. I didn't go beyond that.
Yeah,
so anyway,
Yep.
So here's my story. At 9 o'clock in the morning on Friday, I go out. My wife is in upstairs, and I know I parked the car at a certain place, and I said, Michelle, the car's not there. She says, maybe you didn't park it where you think you parked it. That's a likely thing to say, right?
Yeah.
I said, no, I think I put it there, but just to be sure, I decided to walk up and down my block, around the corner. Then I got into my other car and just drove around my neighborhood, up and down streets, into certain parking lots they have in my area. Nothing. Okay, so I call the police, and they come 15 minutes later. They do their report, and as they're doing the report, one of the cops say, "Yep, your car definitely was stolen." I said, "How do you know for sure?" He says, "Well, they type in the license plate, and then they log into Easy Pass, and they're able to see my car
God.
at 2:30 in the morning, going over." Passing the Easy Pass checkpoint point. When you have it or don't have it, either way, it records your motion.
Right.
My car is going over the Throgs Neck Bridge into the Bronx.
Good.
Yeah, so that's very depressing. I rent the car. They give you 15 days for my car to be found. Then they declare the car a total loss. Then they give you the car for 5 more days. They'll give you 15 more days if your car is found and you need work on it. So anyway, funny thing, even though it's very, very upset, and I'm smiling now. I've been very upset all week. I was unaware that the police who came and filled out the file had body cams. And they're recording everything I'm saying.
Yeah, there's a requirement now.
And I told them that, for truth, that this was my 5th time I've had a car stolen in my lifetime.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Cinco veces, 5 times. But I haven't had one for maybe 30 years. So I had a 1968 Mercury Comet that was stolen right in front of my house. That was my first car I ever had. My neighbor, I'll tell you a little story. My neighbor the next day said he saw someone around my car at 3 o'clock in the morning. He assumed it was me and didn't do anything. I had in 1975, I had a Plymouth Duster in Flushing off of Northern Boulevard.
Dusty's Duster.
Yeah, you're right. And they took the car, and I lost 30 CDs, music CDs. I had a great hard case in the back seat, That car was never found. The Comet was never found. I had a Volare. This is a good one. In the late 19th, the Volare, Plymouth Volare. In the 1970s,
Yeah.
I went to Rockaway Beach with friends. I drove. I parked in front of a nursing home. I'm telling the cops all these stories as I'm telling you. I parked in front of a nursing home. I said hello to all those old people on the porch as they're just sitting there. They're vegetating.
Yeah.
And when I went back after the beach, the car was stolen. So I asked the people on the porch, did you see anybody take this car? I don't know what's going on.
They're not paying attention.
2-3 days later, they found that car also around Rockaway Beach. And they found the car with underwear in the back seat.
I don't want it back.
I had in the 80s, I had a Toyota Tercel
Yeah.
that was also stolen in front of my house in Glen Oaks. So I'm really upset about that. Then I get a phone call. I get a phone call from an anonymous person. They say they found stuff from my car in Alley Pond Park.
Oh,
Really?
By Creedmoor. And if you want your stuff, I don't think it was the person who stole the car.
Yeah.
Maybe they just threw things all over. Maybe someone went by and picked it up. I don't know how they got my phone number. One way or another. That car was never found. And now this 2020 Honda Civic.
That's about the time I had a car stolen from front of the house in Glen Oaks.
So the cops love my stories. And they had a chuckle because of that body cam. And when they heard the story about the underwear, they really.
did you lose anything of value, Mark?
Well, I did have valuable photographs in the trunk.
All the walks and stuff.
We walk every Wednesday, and we take a picture. Some of you see it on Facebook. I had 310 pictures in order of our walks, and it was in the trunk of the car, so that's gone. I had valuable sunglasses. I think I had about 8 to 10 Oakley glasses in the car, various colors, different lenses, which I love to wear different sunglasses. Schmucky me left it in the car, and I'm sure that's gone too. But
Mark, can I ask you a question? Were those men or women's underwear?
they were men. I do
Oh,
remember.
What year was the car that was stolen now?
2020. But they said Honda's #1, so I have to get a new car. I'm going to go looking next week. It's not going to be a Honda, unfortunately. I've had Hondas the last 20 years. I keep
Do you have a
rotating.
garage?
I have a garage, and I keep parked the Honda in the garage in the winter for the cold weather, but not in the summer.
What do you do with the what do you do with the Volvo in the winter?
The Volvo stays in the driveway.
Right.
Oh, okay.
From the easy paths. So
Yeah.
they can only track your car for a certain distance. Why was the tracking of the car stopped? Why weren't they able to continue to track your car?
Because they probably stopped in the Bronx, went to
Yeah.
a shop, and the car is in 1,000 pieces right now.
Yeah, because it's worth
There was
so
no,
much.
there was nothing, there's no
More than
easy
that.
pass leaving New York into New Jersey or to Washington Bridge. It only gets you coming in. So who knows?
Mark, there's a massive car theft ring stemming out of Newark. And
Maybe they went to Newark.
well, this is coming from the cops. They Uber in, they steal the car, and that's how they get back to Newark.
Well, they've been doing that right out here where I live.
Yeah,
They do
They
it where my
actually,
son
they,
lives.
actually,
And
they actually break into houses now to get the key fobs.
yeah, they're doing that with
I
my
had a
son.
fob.
My son's-
I had a fob. They just override the fob. Overrode the fob to get into the car and to start the car. The cops said they no longer rub the wires underneath that we remember as a kid.
Well, because you can't do that anymore with this stuff. I think you can only do it with the those Kias and Hyundais that don't have the push start button.
Maybe.
Those are easy. Those are easy to take.
Maybe.
Honda,
Maybe you got to go back to the club.
I still have a club.
I still,
I give the club
my
my car.
wife puts it on before my wife puts it on the car every night. She
The
does
club, the club.
Yeah. Yeah,
No,
But she's the only member of that club, I think.
I know.
no.
She puts it on
I
there.
have a club in my car just in case somebody needs to get a Zets because I use the club.
You
It
would
doesn't
never
work,
hit him. You're
but-
too nice of a person.
You know, it's funny when we had our car stolen. They left the car that they left by our house. So the cop asked the company, he says he thinks that the car that they were stolen, it was a stolen car they were riding in that ran out of gas just by our car. They happened to take our car.
Uh,
They found it in Queens
Oh,
Village 3 days
So
later.
meanwhile, the cops rang all the bells around my car, around the car where it was parked, thinking they had, everybody has Ring, the Ring doorbell.
Oh, yeah, right,
Yeah.
right.
But none of the people had bought the video. You have to spend like $10 to $12 for the video portion of the Ring, and nobody had that. So there was no way. And we have no cameras in my neighborhood. And meanwhile, to make the story even more disgusting, they're doing a revamping of all the street lights in my block area here. And the new lights are going to have cameras, but they're not in yet. They're not in
Now
yet.
they do it.
All right, I want to move
Locking
on.
the barn
I just
door
want you to hear
after.
my story. I'm renting a car. I'm renting a Toyota Corolla, which is fine. All right, I want to start with Mike C, because Mike C is a connoisseur of the U.S. Open, and I asked him to review the U.S. Open. So, Mike, take it away.
Okay, I don't know that I would say I'm a connoisseur, but I did watch some of it, at least. This was, in my opinion, this was one of the great US Opens. There was just a lot of really exciting tennis played, very good, high quality tennis as well. Starting with the men's singles, great final match. Sets 1 and 3 were fairly ordinary for Djokovic, but set 2 was really bang it out, 106 minutes or something like that. Second set, which Djokovic finally won, and sort of psychologically and every other way, I think won the match right there. But you got to give Medvedev a lot of credit. He beat Alcaraz. Most people thought Alcaraz would get to the finals and might beat Djokovic again, but he didn't because Medvedev beat him. The one thing that struck me as I watched the match was Medvedev has got to come in behind some of those power shots into the corners. He just doesn't. And Djokovic was able to take advantage of that by just getting the ball back, just one way or another, getting it back in play. And eventually Medvedev would make a mistake, or Djokovic would, but that was the way he stayed in the rallies. He is a wonder for the ages. He looked tired, as they commented on TV, but he hung in there. And in the end, he was the better player in the tiebreaker and deserved it. On the women's side, Coco Gauff just played wonderful tennis and thoroughly deserved her win. They said on TV she's the fastest woman on the tour, and I can believe that. She was playing wonderful defense against Sabalenka. I think in her case, Coco's case, I think there's a room for improvement. She can develop her serve a little more, I would say, and can develop her forehand a little more, put a little more power into it. Sabalenka deserves a lot of credit, I think. We have to remember that she had a very tough semi playing keys. It went 3 sets, and the last 2 were both tiebreakers. I couldn't even watch the 3rd set because it started after midnight. But a tremendous match, and that may have taken a little out of her. But, the recompense there is she is number 1 in the world after her year. She made one interesting comment, I thought, when she was interviewed after the match. She was asked what she was most proud of for accomplishing during the year. And she said she's most proud of overcoming her own tendency to fight herself. And you saw some of that, particularly in the semifinal match in the 1st set. But she overcame in that match, and she said that she's become much better at doing so. Now, I could ask these as trivia questions, but I won't. Who won the doubles in this tournament?
Who cares?
Nobody pays attention to it.
Well, and how many Joe, you know?
No, I don't. I was gonna just talk,
Comment.
comment on your,
Well, let them finish first. Yeah.
All right,
summary.
I'll finish the report and then.
Yeah, go
okay.
ahead.
And how did the Americans do in the doubles? You know, if you follow doubles tennis at all, the Americans have dominated in these major tournaments for years and years and years. But then the Bryan brothers, who were a big part of that, they retired, right? They were winning the men's doubles championships, and they were in the mixed doubles. They were very formidable as well. And so we won a lot of championships that way. Well, here's the answers. In the women's doubles, a Canadian, Gabriella Dabrowski, and a New Zealander, Erin Rotleff, beat former champion Laura Sigamund, whom you might remember from the first round match against Coco. She's from Germany, and Russia's Vera Silvanera. So they won the women's. Mixed, Anna Danilina from Kazakhstan and Harry Heliovara from Finland beat Americans Jessica Pegula and Austin Krajicek. That was an upset. This pair from Kazakhstan and Finland had only been together, according to the announcers, had only been together for a little over 2 weeks and still won the doubles. And finally, the men's doubles saw Rajiv Ram, who is American, and Joe Salisbury, who is British, defeat Rohan Bopanna from India and Matthew Ebden from Australia. So the Americans did win, had a hand in winning one of those championships. And that's my report.
Thank you. Joe, you want to comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that if you guys, Mike, if you remember back to the 2021 US Open final, it was Djokovic who came out flat. And Medvedev, when Medvedev was cooking on all cylinders, and it was just the opposite this year. It was Djokovic, and I think he clearly knew that he had to come out and take command right at the beginning, because if you give Medvedev a chance to start going, which he was able to do against Alcaraz, it was Alcaraz who came out flat, and he never ever got into the match. If the previous match that Alcaraz and Medvedev had played, Alcaraz was able to just dink all those shots in and get, and Medvedev couldn't get him. But this time Medvedev was ready, and he just overpowered Alcaraz, but he couldn't do it to Djokovic.
Yeah, he's playing very well.
Roger.
Yeah, just quickly, Joe. Yeah, they were talking about that 2021. I think that was the year of the Olympics. I think Djokovic won the Olympic gold that year too, and I think he said he was a little spent that year.
Yeah, I mean, this was the year he'd won the first 3 Opens, and this was his chance to win the whole thing, the Grand Slam, and he just came out flat, and he never got a chance. He lost in straight sets, which is totally unusual for him.
Yeah.
Never happens.
Right. The only other thing I wanted to say was I couldn't watch much of it because I had Spectrum, but I went over to Carrie's aunt's house, and she has Fios. I got to see a little bit of the Djokovic Medvedev match, and some of the rallies went for 36 shots.
Yes.
Yeah.
For men, you would never see anything like that.
No.
Like
That's
Sampras and these guys.
That's more women's. It's more women's.
Exactly. It was
Right.
Milton.
Yeah, sometimes, being a tennis player for the last 30-something years, sometimes I don't believe they're really coming out flat. I think it's the person you're playing that makes you look like that. There's not that much difference in some of these players, but Djokovic played as good as anybody could play with those shots. I've never seen anybody that could get every drop shot that was hit to him, not only get to it, but then hit it for a winner. I don't know why they kept doing it to Djokovic. I don't think he missed any drop shots. But again, it all depends on the person you're playing. And I wanted to ask Mike, you know so much about tennis. You want to play with us tomorrow at Jericho Westbury, 10 to 11:30? I have a nice game.
It's a short drive up from DC.
250 miles away.
Oh, too bad. I have 5 guys.
You leave now, Mike.
Yeah.
He has a jet waiting for you.
All I can say is if you're a 4.0, you would wipe the court with me.
All right, Michael, and then we move on. Yeah, Michael.
Yeah. What kills me when I watch Djokovic, all those drop shots. So many times, whenever I try a drop shot, it goes right into the net. It's not as easy as it looks. But I just want to mention to you, while you guys are in tennis mode, on Amazon Prime, I was watching the McEnroe documentary. It is unbelievable. What a story about McEnroe. I never realized that his father was his manager, and the father was an alcoholic, and they got into such a disagreement that he fires his father, and they never spoke. And the father passed away. It was really, really, really interesting. And just to relive the competition between McEnroe and Borg, and what happened with McEnroe and Borg, they had a match in the U.S. Open, and McEnroe won in a really incredible match. And Borg retires at 26, which was unbelievable. And the competitiveness between McEnroe and Connors also was off the charts.
Yeah.
He didn't care for Connors much. Yeah,
Michael.
Check out that documentary.
Yeah, he grew up in Douglaston. I don't remember the exact place, but I think it was Northern Boulevard and near Little Neck Parkway. He always used to be in there. You know, there was a bar and a burger place. I don't remember the name of it, but McEnroe was always in that spot.
Yeah, he didn't live in my area. I'm in Douglaston, but not in my section.
No, he lived in Douglaston Manor.
Not there. Where we walk sometimes.
Where you are.
It's one of our walks.
His father was a lawyer.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
He's really, really good.
All right.
McEnroe is known for the arguments he had with the judges, the line judges, and all that kind of thing. And he was a very colorful player, in part because of that. But I think he would have been helped by the new system with the Eagle Eye or whatever it's called. He wouldn't have expended so much energy on arguing about things. I think it would have been done even better.
Right.
They used to call it the MacCam when it first came out.
One other point.
Yeah,
one other point on McEnroe, because I string my rackets just the way he did. He's the only tennis player that I know that understrung his racket. He used to use it at 35 pounds. A lot of the players are in the 50s, 60 pounds, but it does give you a much better touch on your volleys, and it gives you more power in your ground strokes, understringing the racket, but that's what that's where he used to get that and then come to the net and then have the touch shot. But, I copied the way he had his rackets done, and I understring mine with a special type of stringing, which I think helps, especially in doubles.
Right.
I don't know. I had to understring one time. I took a shot and the ball went right through the strings. I was done for the day. Listen,
McEnroe very grouchy, but I don't pick on anybody but myself, especially when I throw my racket into the net.
listen. I was thinking about all the female pros, and most of them are from foreign countries, not United States. But can you guess the countries these? I think I have 6 of them. These 6 women are from, like, I probably can't pronounce it. Rebekina, right? How do you say it?
Rebekina.
Rebecca, what is it? Rebekina. Where's she from?
Russia.
Probably
not.
Kazakhstan.
That's it, Kazakhstan. Very good. How about Simona Halep, who got in trouble this week? You won't see her for 4 years.
Romania.
Romania, very good. How about the former number 1, Swiatek?
Poland.
And how about Arina Sabalenka?
Belarus.
And how about this one I can't pronounce? Ons Jabeur?
She's Tunisian.
Tunisia, very good. And
Great player, love her.
And Jelena Ostapenko.
Russia or Ukraine?
Ukraine.
Latvia, but very good.
Okay, that region.
Probably Ukrainian descent.
All right, why don't we go on, Gerald? You're anxious because we haven't heard your voice in about 15 minutes. A highlights report sponsored by the delete button on your computer.
I've escaped.
Thank you. Today I'm going to review the 2022 MLB season. These are what I believe to be the key facts about the 2022 MLB season. For the awards and leaders, I will name the National League player, followed by the American League player. Key awards: MVP, Paul Goldschmidt and the great Aaron Judge. Rookie of the Year, Michael Harris II and Julio Rodriguez. Cy Young, Sandy Alcantara and Justin Verlander. Key leaders batting average, Jeff McNeil and Luis Arias. Home runs,
Right.
one-dimensional Kyle Schwarber, Judge. RBIs, Pete Alonso and Aaron Judge. ERA, Julio Urias, who may get a very low bid for his free agency. We all know why.
Right.
And Justin Verlander.
Use.
Here's some very interesting highlights of the 2022 MLB season. Stephen Kwan reached base 18 times in his first 5 career games, thereby establishing a modern era record. Los Angeles Dodgers became the first team in MLB history to lead their league for 5 straight years in runs scored and fewest runs allowed. Pretty remarkable. 2022, the Dodgers led the National League in MLB with 847 runs scored, and they gave up only 513 runs. The Mets established a modern-day era record by having been hit 116 times by a pitch. And of course, Buck Showalter doesn't protect his players.
Right.
Adam Wainwright and Yadier Molina on 9/14 established the major league record with 325 starts as battery mates. Wow.
Right.
On 8/31, Ohtani became the first player in MLB history with 10 pitching wins and 30 home runs in the same season. Robbie Grossman's MLB record of 440 consecutive errorless games for position play came to an end on July 10th. The great New York Yankees set the record with the most home runs in June at 58. Yadier Molina on June 14th set the major league record with his 14,685th put out in a career. Tampa Bay became the first team to field an all Latin America starting lineup. Elisa Nakin became the first woman in MLB history to coach on field during a regular season game on April 12th. She coached first base after Giant coach Anton Richardson was ejected. Richard Blair became the first MLB pitcher to balk 3 times in the same at-bat.
Wow.
On September 27th, he had no balks in his first 303 career games. I guess he had brain fog or something. Spencer Strider became the fastest pitcher in MLB history on September 18th to amass 200 strikeouts in a season. He accomplished this feat in 130 innings. Sounds like a strikeout and a half per inning. He has a very, very abbreviated summary of the 2022 World Series. Houston defeated the Phillies 4-2. Jeremy Pena was the MVP in one of the games. The Phillies tied a record with 5 homers in a World Series game. In one of the games, there was the first combined no-hitter in postseason history and the second no-hitter in the World Series after Don Larson, the great Don Larson's perfect game in 1956. Here are some composite statistics. The Astros batted .240 and the Phillies batted .163. Not too good. The Astros ERA was 2.83 and the Phillies 3.57. And that concludes my report for the 2022 MLB season.
A couple of things. That guy's name wasn't Blair. I think it's Blyer.
Yeah.
All right, Bleir. Okay.
I think it's
Blyer,
Blyer. And you
Right.
mentioned Adam Wainwright. You know, he got his 199th
Yeah.
win this week. I hope he gets the 200.
Yeah.
You know, what they got 2 weeks?
Yeah.
If he
Yeah.
has 2 more starts, I hope he gets it.
Yeah.
Okay. Couple of
Jerry,
comments.
Waterloo.
Michael.
Yeah. Did Wainwright and Molina break the record last year or this year of the most games played with each
last
other.
year.
Last year, because Molina
Molina's
retired.
retired.
Molina's gone.
I was going to ask the trivia question. Do we know whose record they broke? I'll ask him now.
Oh, wow.
I'll save it for trivia.
McCarver and Gibson.
That's
No.
All right, we'll think.
Third and fourth.
often.
We have an hour to think about it.
Yeah, you have an hour to think about it.
Jerry,
Okay.
you're
Nobody
Waterloo.
look it up. Everybody gonna look it up.
Yeah, right.
Oh, look it up, look it up.
All right. Anybody else want to comment on that? All right, we go on to Milton. Thank you, Gerald. And by the way, we're getting ready. We have an abbreviated. You doing abbreviated for next week or what?
No, I think the 2023 season I should do sometime in, let's say, November.
And you're gonna have your new bit next
My
week.
new unnamed bit, correct.
Okay, so Gerald will have a something that we'll talk about again, maybe later after the show or tomorrow. We'll talk about it. Okay, but you'll have a new thing. Milton,
All right.
name that tune in
Today,
3 notes.
we're going to 1972.
Okay.
This woman was a singer, songwriter, actress on Broadway, a music teacher, only had one big hit, 1972, but I love the song and she had such a gorgeous voice. See if you remember this song. It was a big hit, her only hit. I love this song. The harmony, everything. Let's listen for a minute.
Okay, no, good. So, anyone know that song?
No, the
Great
song,
song.
but I don't know if it.
And I
Well,
have a
that's-
tweet from her. Always, no matter how difficult it is, always keep the love and music in your heart. This was her big hit, and I'd play it over and over again.
Who is it?
Beverly Bremers. Terrific
Beverly
song.
what?
Bremers, Bremers. It was a
Uh-huh.
big hit, 1972. I try to
What's it
find
called
some-
again?
Don't say you don't remember.
Don't say.
Don't say you don't remember.
I don't.
And
I don't remember.
And that was that big hit.
one always
Yeah.
loves a little more in a relationship. That's
Beverly
what she's saying.
Brevins. Brevins.
Never
One
heard
always, one, there's always one that loves a little bit more than the other one in a relationship. So I thought you'd like that song.
Now you tell me.
Very nice. Very nice.
Some good
All
song.
right. Thank you, Milton. You stumped us. It took you
Yep.
6 months, but you stumped
Stump
us.
the chumps.
Great song.
All right. So the only beep I have is this guy named Spencer Horowitz. There's a Horowitz in baseball.
Yeah, Toronto, right?
Interesting.
First baseman. And you know where he's from? He's from Timonium, Maryland.
That's
Maryland.
Maryland.
Outside of DC.
Yeah,
Plays for Toronto, right?
yeah, Toronto.
No, it's a suburb of Baltimore.
I never
Right.
heard of it. Never heard of it. Okay, so this day in sports. Really good day in sports. September 14th. Let's see how much I can go here with my stamina. Let's see. In 1913, Cubs pitcher Larry Cheney hurls a 14-hit shutout. Gives up 14 hits, but he does a shutout and wins 7-0 against the Giants. 1916, 1-6. Christy Mathewson pitches and wins his last game ever.
Mm.
And he goes off to become a Hall of Famer. Let's see. In 1923, in his fourth heavyweight title defense, Jack Dempsey recovers after being sent through the ropes
Like Furbo.
by Firpo, Louis Firpo of Argentina, But he goes on and knocks him out in the second round in the polo grounds. So the first round, he gets thrown through the ropes, comes up and says, I ain't taking this crap anymore, and knocked him out in the second. In 1923, get the name, a Red Sox first baseman, George Burns. Not the George, but George Burns pulls off an unassisted triple play. In 1929, a lot of U.S. Open things took place. At that time, it wasn't called the U.S. Open. It was called the United States National Championship in Forest Hills. Bill Tilden wins his 7th U.S. title, beating Francis Hunter. I never heard of him. He won 5 sets. In 1930, the Detroit Lions, but they weren't called the Detroit Lions. They were called the Portsmouth Spartans, played the first NFL game. How about that? In 42 and 43, the Yankees clinch a pennant, number 13 and number 14. In 1947, at the U.S. Open, the U.S. National Championship in Forest Hills, Jack Kramer, he wins his second straight. Remember, I don't know, when I was a kid and I got my first tennis racket, Jack Kramer was named on the racket.
It was
I
a
didn't know
wood
who the
racket.
hell he was. I think he was a pro.
And Mark, you had to buy a holder for the racket.
Right,
Remember
right.
that?
Remember those
It
things?
was a wood racket. That's right.
Definitely a wood racket,
Yep,
Hey,
that's right.
Mark, I had a Stan Smith.
I have one too.
And you know what, McEnroe, I had a Maxwell wooden racket with the
Later
brace.
on, yeah.
Hey, Mark, you know what I used to do? Put lead tape around the head of it to give it even more power.
Oh, I thought you put tape over his name.
Right. And you know what? I smashed my Barry Kramer racket when I made a bad shot.
Not Barry Kramer. Jack Kramer.
Jack Kramer.
I
Yeah, I
smashed
had Tony Traber.
my racket because somebody saw me smash it.
In 1951, a guy named Bob Neiman, he was an outfielder. We know him mostly with the Orioles, but at that time he was with the Browns. He made his debut. He hits a home run in his first 2 at-bats. How's that? Welcome to the show, right?
Yeah.
In 54, Willie Mays collects his 82nd extra base hit to break Mel Ott's record. I don't know what the record is today. In 55, Herb Score, as a rookie, sets the strikeout record, passing 235 on this day. So he made a record I guess it's a rookie record. He goes on and strikes out 245. On this day, Denny McLain wins his 30th today. It's the first time someone wins 30 since Dizzy Dean in 34. In 68, boxer Jimmy Ellis beats Floyd Patterson for the heavyweight title. I used to love Floyd Patterson. I don't know about you guys.
Wasn't that good?
Mark, I did also. You know, he used to train in the Catskills.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Mark,
Remember
Right,
that.
wait, with the China chin.
Right. Mark,
And,
can I say something about Floyd Patterson?
Yeah.
There used to be a TV show called Wild Wild West. And in one of the episodes, Floyd Patterson played a bartender, and he got into a fight with somebody, and he got knocked out just the same way he gets knocked out in his boxing matches.
Listen, remember, I felt so bad for him getting both matches knocks out in the first round, right? That's why I think it's fixed.
One question. You know what song Sonny Liston trained at? What was the song he used to do during his training?
Who wears short shorts?
No, Sonny Liston. What the heck was
Killer
that?
Joe?
Night Train, I think. Night Train.
Oh, really?
Sonny Liston, right?
Night Train. Wasn't that by Dinah Washington?
No.
Oh, I think you're
Also,
right.
it was an instrumental.
No.
Right
Night Train.
Song,
Okay.
It was an instrumental.
Not a
Let me finish this. 75, Robin Young breaks Mel Ott's record of playing 242 games as a teenager. How is that possible?
Played as an 18-year-old.
18-year-old.
Oh, that's right. He played. Okay. In 78, Jim Bouton, he makes of the Atlanta Braves in 78. He's 38 years old at the time. He beats the Giants for his first win since 1970.
Wow.
8 years. Jim Bouton. Let's see. Remember Dwight Clark, the receiver. He played
Yeah.
for the
San Francisco.
49.
San Francisco.
Niners.
He
Yeah.
begins a streak of 105 consecutive game receptions. 1980. 86. Bo Jackson hits his first major league home run for the Royals and went 475 feet. Also in 86, Bob Brenly, the catcher, and he went on to become an announcer and became a manager. Catcher for the Giants. He makes 4 errors in 1 inning. But he also hits 2 home runs in the same game, and the Giants win the game. In 80, same day, in 86, Walter Payton scores his 100th TD and gains 177 yards and surpasses 15,000 yards for his career.
And what was his nickname?
Sweetness.
Sweeten it.
In 87, Cal Ripken Jr., record of 8,243 consecutive innings, 908 games, is broken. In 87, the Blue Jays hit 10 home runs in 1 game against Baltimore, and Ernie Witt, the catcher, hit 3 of them.
Wow.
Here's a name you'll remember. In 87, at the U.S. Open, Ivan Lendl wins his 3rd straight title by beating Mats Wilander, or is it Wilander?
That's Wilander.
Wilander.
Remember him?
Wilander is Swedish.
Sure.
In 89, the Calgary Flames become the first NHL team to play in USSR, and they win the game. In 1990, on this day, Ken Griffey Jr. and his son, Jr., hit back-to-back home runs in the first inning off of Kurt McCaskill. So Kurt McCaskill should be a trivia question, right? Or answer. 91, San Diego State freshman Marshall Falk rushes for 386 yards and 7 TDs in 1 game. In 94, on this day, Major League Baseball owners vote to cancel the remainder of the 94 season, as well as the World Series, for the 2nd time in history due to labor dispute. In 96, Todd Hundley sets the Mets record with 41 home runs at the time. In 2003, Baltimore Ravens running back Jamal Lewis sets a single season record. Let's see, a single season, or it could be a single game. And he ran for 295 yards with 2 TDs and 30 carries on that day. I'm almost done. How about this one? 2009 U.S. Open, Argentine Juan Martin Del Potro. Juan Martin Del Potro wins his first and I guess only Grand Slam. He beat the great Roger Federer.
From LGA.
Pick up. That's from Martin Del Potro. Pick it up. And in 2011, the Pirates clinched their 19th consecutive losing season, a record for a major franchise in North America. Interesting thing about that, the Pirates were 51-44 and leading the National League Central on July 20th, and they just ended up 67-82.
And if it wasn't Rosh Hashanah, you could see them play the Yankees over the weekend.
That's right. All right. Sports Stories by Larry will not be heard today. So we're going to go on to MJF. Michael, your Yankees and Jets rant. You want to say something, Gerald, before we move on?
We were talking about extra base hits in a season by MLB players. The record was Babe Ruth, 119 in 1921, followed by Lou Gehrig, 117 in 1927. Barry Bonds and Chuck Klein each had 107.
So when Willie did it, that was probably a National League record. And then Bonds passed.
No, Chuck Klein was a National Leaguer, wasn't he?
I think
Chuck
he was.
Klein?
He played for the Phillies.
Yeah. Drove in 190 runs one year.
That's what I read. I don't know. Maybe
Wasn't he on he was on the Whiz Kids?
Maybe I read it wrong.
No.
Earlier.
Before that.
Way before.
Before that.
Go. Michael, Yankees and Jets rant. Sponsored by Penn Refills. Do you still buy Penn Refills? I do.
Really?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
You're the only one?
Right. The Parker
You know you
T-Ball
I would never
Jotter.
throw away a pen.
T-Ball Jotter, remember that? Parker
Yeah.
T-Ball. Anyway, by the way, Roger, you should have been doing what I was doing, because for like 3 weeks, everybody I could speak to, anybody I could complain to, I was complaining about Spectrum, because on Monday Night Football, the biggest game in the history of the NFL was going to be played, and I was not going to be able to watch it. So I did a lot of complaining about that, and I was literally pulling my hair out. I also wanted to watch the tennis, and I complained. I think I've even complained on this podcast. Anyway, to make a long story short, my neighbor heard me complaining, and she comes over with some friend of hers, and she does some potchka onto my TV, and she gets me all the stations. So I was able to watch the tennis, and I was very, very happy. And you guys know, we mentioned it before, that I did a 9/11 observance over on Monday. And in the back of my mind, although it was very important to do 9/11, I was thinking of finally sitting down on my recliner watching a Jet game. And when I couldn't get Spectrum, I was really worried. But finally, when I got Spectrum, I go and sit down on my recliner, and you saw how the game began. So it was very, very disappointing. So about the Jets, the things that I'm worried about Garrett Wilson if Zach is not accurate. Because if Zach is not accurate and he throws one of those passes like he threw on Monday, Garrett Wilson's going to get hurt. And he may be the best pass receiver in the NFL. And he better be getting accurate passes, because he is terrific. And I'm worried about Zach not playing a big game against the Cowboys, because I think this is a big chance. This is a big chance of life. And if he stinks, they're going to have to get somebody else. And about that game, can you imagine the point spread is 9.5 points? And it's very, very enticing, considering the Jets defense, to bet on the Jets. So that's something to think about. Another worry about Zach Wilson, I'm worried about his mother, because what does his mother do? His mother posts on Instagram things like, when he was leaving the game on Monday, he gets hit in the head with a water bottle, and the mother complained. Last year, the mother complained about his not being respected. If my mother did that to me, I'd say, "Ma." But I think that he should be tougher looking. I think that Zach Wilson should maybe follow the footsteps of maybe somebody like Ryan Fitzpatrick and grow himself a beard, because he does not look tough enough to be a quarterback. So I worry about that. And the bandana doesn't do enough about that, because he still has to look tougher. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to say about the Jets was a great human interest story about the Jets' undrafted draft choice. And he was one of the last players to be selected. His name was Xavier Gipson. And what happened to Xavier Gipson? He ran a punt back for Monday's game winner, and it was as spectacular a punt return as you'd ever want to see. And he was named AFC's Special Teams Player of the Week. And on Hard Knocks, they showed Gipson becoming overwhelmed with emotion when the Jets general manager, Joe Douglas, and Robert Saleh delivered the news to him that he made the team. And it was very, very nice. And let's see what happens with him. But this weekend, if the Jets manage to win against Dallas, then you will have a positive mushroom. Because the Jets still, even with Rodgers, they could have gone either way. They have a great team with a lot of studs, but you still cannot see and tell what's going to happen with the Jets. And that's my story about the Jets. As for the Yankees, the season went down the toilet with Rodon's clunker a week ago. They were on a nice winning streak, leading to a possible minuscule wild card berth, when Boone did not see that Rodon was getting clobbered and the Yankees were losing just 2-0. And somehow, if he thought about maybe putting a Vasquez in or something like that, maybe the Yankees wouldn't have gotten bombed. And the Yankees, after that game, lost all hope, and it was gone. Before that, they were winning, and they had the kids. And I was even going to suggest maybe for a week or two, Marc plays "Here Come the Yankees" as the opening theme. But what happened was the Martian gets hurt, and Severino gets hurt, and now I think it was yesterday, they lost any chance of winning the division. And who knows what's going to happen because they're going to stink. And that's terrible. And what can I say? And also the Utes count came into play, and the Utes aren't hitting. So that's ridiculous with the Utes not hitting. And the only one who's hitting is Glaber, who has a baseball mind like in who the hell knows. He makes more mistakes than anybody else on the team. And for my opinion, Aaron Judge should be shut down for the rest of the season because there's no purpose to have him play with a sore toe, and his batting average is going down. I think the way he's playing, his batting average will maybe be going down to the 230s, and it's sad to see that.
Yes,
So those are the Yankees. It's a sad thing to see, but it's the most annoying. I've been following the Yankees since 1955. The most annoying baseball season for the Yankees I've ever experienced. And who the heck knows what's going to happen next? Maybe they could get this Chaim Bloom. I don't know because
Why?
Why? I don't know what they could do. So
why would they want him? He's a failure in Boston.
Yeah, that's it. My story.
A couple of comments there. Right, Fred.
Yeah. First of all, Michael, even if the Jets don't win in Dallas on Sunday, that doesn't mean the season is best. If you look at the schedule at the beginning of the year, I mean, they weren't going to win all 17 games. This was not a game that you might have had down as a winnable game. And like I said the other day on the text, and all, like you said, the defense. If Wilson can be like a Troy Dilfer, or as Michael Klayman said, even like a Jim McMahon, the season is not lost with that defense.
Trent Dilfer.
I agree.
Trent.
And also Whitehead was named the AFC Defensive Player of the Week.
Yeah. Oh my, he was terrific. Oh my God. Yeah.
He got a $250,000 bonus because he had an incentive. If he gets 3 interceptions in the season, he gets $250,000.
But look at all those Jets on that team. It's unbelievable. I've never seen the Jets like this.
Yeah. Joe?
But there's a couple of things to talk about. I don't know. You want to talk about Chaim Bloom? You want to talk about the Jets?
Both.
I can talk about both. I mean, I think Chaim Bloom, when Bloom came in, he had to, I don't know, he got rid of Mookie Betts and then didn't re-sign Bogarts. I got a feeling that he was probably told not to do that, and now he's taking the hit for it.
Payroll.
And he's putting together a pretty good team. Boston is playing better than they probably were expected to this year, and they've got some decent young players, and Story's been hurt, so we'll see what happens. So the story's out on them. But as far as the Jets go, I mean, I've said this before, that Buffalo is an incredibly talented team, but they're very, very sloppy, and they have been. Those 2 long passes that Josh Allen threw, he threw into coverage when his receiver wasn't free, and B, the receiver was double covered, and yet he still threw the ball in there. And it's symbolic of what he does and what the Buffalo Bills do. They generally shoot themselves in the foot.
Mm-hmm.
They should have won. They should have won that game going away.
And they lost 4 Super Bowls, right?
Gerald,
4 Super Bowls in a row.
First of all, there was a blown call at the last play of the game.
Yes, there was. But that was, if you looked at if you looked at that in real time, it was kind of hard to pick up that block. Cut his legs out from under him.
Oops.
So you can understand that the ref would miss it.
Yeah.
But
Gerald.
Couple of thoughts. Mike, I agree on shutting down Aaron Judge, but is there a consideration regarding attendance falling off? Number one. Number two, somebody before mentioned that Klein had the record for the most RBIs in the season. It's actually Hack Wilson at 190.
Hack Wilson, yeah. Okay. Milton?
Yeah, Wilson always had a good arm. He could throw deep. You think maybe Rodgers taught him some stuff all the time that they were in training, and maybe he learned something from him. His arm was never in doubt, but last year he lost the team. I remember on TV, he never took the blame for that collapse.
Yeah, but I think he's rehabilitated himself, and I think once Rodgers gets the rehab, like Salah said, he wants a headset. He's going to be. I think he's going to be a very good mentor to Wilson. I think you're going to see Wilson play play better.
Yes, I hope so. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Instead, I don't want to see him as a game manager. I want to see him to throw caution to the wind, and maybe even the first play Sunday throw a bomb. I don't want these handoffs to Brees Hall. He's
No,
gonna
you see,
get
you're
hurt.
wrong. You got to win any way you can, and you want to make. And if the running backs, Hall and Cook is the way to go, you win any way you can. Hall was tremendous in his first game back.
Hall is on the injured list now.
Who?
Hall is Brees Hall, right?
What happened to him?
He's on the injured list?
Yeah. No, I mean they took time away from him. He's injured. So
No, he's on the PUP list now.
no. They just listed him as being injured. Maybe it was his knee.
Oh, it's one of those
Maybe.
things. They got to put out a list by Wednesday. Half the team is probably on the list.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Joe, your hand is up. Why don't you start again with your Mets moments?
I just want to. I will in a second. I just want to say one last thing about Wilson. The rap on Wilson is that he's not able to read the defense. Is that something that's teachable?
I think so.
It's a good
All
question.
right. I hope you're right. He's got the arm. He's got
This isn't like
he's got the tools.
Watch.
In this era they always rush quarterbacks. Like Rodgers sat for 3 years. The guy is only 23 years old.
Yeah.
I hope you're right.
I mean, let's hope
Who are they going to? Now they want to sign somebody.
Russell.
Who do you think they're going to sign as a backup? They're not going with this kid Boyle.
They're not
Boyle's
going with
not a kid.
Kaepernick either.
First of all, Boyle's not a kid. He's 28 years old.
He's not going to be Boyle.
He's had 7 or 8 years as a backup. He was Rodgers' backup in Green Bay. He's not a greenhorn.
I don't know.
You know?
There's some guys out there who I think have more experience. I don't know. So let's move on. Your Mets story, sponsored by, mind you, 2 reams of paper.
All right.
How many sheets is that?
1,000.
1,000. Thank you.
All right.
Go ahead there, Joe.
Okay, so the Mets finally got their man. They got David Stearns, who had a pretty good, but not totally unblemished track record in a small market team. And let's see what he can do. He's going to have probably close to an unlimited budget. And let's see, Andrew Friedman made the transition from a small market, low budget team to the Dodgers and did it very successfully so far. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be, it should be good. Wow. What did I say?
Hi, Jay.
He ran. Go ahead.
All right. So I've noticed I've been watching the Mets. They're actually playing some games that mean something, not for them, but they're giving the Diamondbacks all they can
knock them out of the run.
They're winning today too.
Oh, they are good.
Good.
The hitting is picked up. The young kids are hitting. Even Beatty got a couple of hits last night before they took him out. So they've got something for the future. Lindor, McNeil, Nimos, and Alonso are all hitting. All of a sudden, it's a little late, but they're all hitting. And and a guy like DJ Stewart looks like he's played himself into the conversation for next year. And he definitely he'll be on the team. It looks like. But the biggest need, of course, and that Stearns is going to have to address is pitching.
Yep.
And so will they trade one of the guys? I was just reading right before the show came on that they have a glut in the infield. Mauricio, Vientos, and Beatty are all infielders, and not enough. There's not enough place for all them. Lindor's not going anywhere.
Right.
At least
I read they're putting Mauricio at third base.
So what does that do? So what does that do?
3 third basemen, right?
Yeah. Okay. So what does that do with Beatty and Vientos?
Because you designated hitter.
It means that McNeil will be a full-time outfielder next year.
Well, meanwhile, they're thinking
unless they trade him, which is always a possibility.
Yeah.
Possible.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but that's the biggest thing. They're gonna have to get pitching. I don't think it's a great free agent
starting and relief.
No. But
they've got I don't know who they've got down in the farm system. The only guy I hear about is Vassell. So we'll see.
You know what's interesting, Joe? I was looking at the pace paper. They were comparing Joey Lucchese's seasons in the majors and the minors this year. I mean, limited.
I heard that.
And he's
It's
so
better
much
in the
better in the
majors.
majors.
He does
Yeah.
better in the
Saying
majors than
he
in
wasn't great in the
AAA.
minors because of the robo umpires, that the strike zone is
that's the
a
reason.
shrunken strike zone with the robo calls that they're using in AAA.
Yeah.
He has a lower ERA in the
got,
majors than
he's
in
got
AAA.
he's got this very herky-jerky deceptive motion, Lucchese, and probably throws off the umpires a little bit. But he pitched very well. He's pitched very well this year. I didn't.
Joe, you know who they claimed off waivers today? The guy Anthony Kay, who they traded to Toronto.
Right.
They traded to Toronto for Marcus Stroman. They got him back now.
Got him back, yeah.
All right. So the last thing I want to say is that they have one more chance to redeem themselves this year, and they've got a number of games coming up against the Phillies, and they can do some damage. And I'd like to see them do. And I'd like to see them do it.
And they play the Reds this weekend, so
yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, so they got some games that mean something.
Yeah.
Gerald, you have a hand up. What's up?
It's 2-0 Mets today in the third inning.
Yeah.
Joe.
Yes.
You muted. If I see Vogelback or Drew Smith on the Mets next year, I will jump out the window.
I'll give you Vogelback, but I still think Smith has a lively enough arm that there's a possibility he might be able to make something out of it.
I like Drew Smith. I like Drew Smith. Yeah.
I know a lot of people. Very few people agree with me. Well, we'll see. Vogelback should be gone. Can't see any place for him.
Yeah,
probably.
What about Buck? What about Buck?
I don't know.
I mean, a new GM. You know, I didn't pick you.
Right.
Counsel.
Right.
Well, he might want to take counsel if counsel is made available.
Yeah, but Craig Counsel has indicated he wants to take at least a year off because he's got two sons who are playing college ball in the Midwest and the Big Ten, and two daughters are high school athletes. And he's from Wisconsin. He's probably I don't think he's going to manage next year.
All right.
New York City.
You never know. They throw enough money at you.
Yeah,
it's always possible.
Yeah, money.
He might say he's got enough money, though.
All right, thank you, Joe, for that.
Thank you,
Fred. We're up to your New York Giants stuff.
Giants report very short. Giants.
Had a great game.
Disappointing.
Let's move on. It's one game. Everybody was terrible. They need to win in Arizona, or else they have a real possibility of being 0-3. Because they played the 49ers on short week on a Monday night in their third game. Let's forget about it. Happened. That's it.
Every part of their game was a failure.
There was not one good. There was not one good aspect that you could say about that.
Yeah. And what did the guy from the Cowboys say that they should?
Oh, he's right. That why was Daniel Jones in the game?
Why are we still in the game?
And he's 100% right, because I was saying the same thing. Why I'm sitting here on my couch? Why is he in the game?
Yeah.
You know, Cincinnati did the right thing. They pulled Joe Burrows when they sort of conceded. The Giants are lucky. No major injuries.
Dable's not perfect, you know.
What?
What's that, Jeff?
Dable isn't perfect.
No,
he makes a lot of mistakes.
Yeah. Joe,
I'm just curious, Fred. How could they come out so flat? I mean, what?
I don't
against the Cowboys.
Yeah,
it's not. This is a team that
from that block kick. I started the game going great. They had that first drive. They're marching down the field, and then the bad snap, that balloon from that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
it deflated them.
Especially at home, no less.
Yeah. Let's see how they do against them in game number 2 when they play later on.
It's always a coaching issue, unprepared team.
All right, thank you.
I agree, Jeff.
Brett,
the less said, the better.
Okay. Yeah. Mike, you got some DC, Virginia news for us?
Sure.
Rizzo.
Yeah, do I get a sponsor?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. You're sponsored by a broken air conditioner.
Yeah, I didn't get a sponsor either.
Last week it was rats. I guess this is an improvement over that.
I don't know. Tough coming up with these.
All right. Yeah, I think the most important news was the re-signing of Mike Rizzo, the general manager of the Nationals. Supposedly a multi-year contract, though it was not specified how many years it's for. They had previously signed Davey Martinez, the manager of the team, to a 2-year with, I think, a club option for the 3rd year. So, you know, within reason, it's probably a 3-year contract, and probably Rizzo is that or more. But they're just going through trying out the rookies now. You know, clearly they actually came into a tie with the Mets, I think, for a day, and then they fell back and have fallen back further. So they're just kind of running out the string now, trying out different players and so on. The Commanders. So they won at home over Arizona. As I said, it was virtually a must win, as I said last week, because if they couldn't win this game, I mean, how many games would they win? The defense played pretty well, gave up 3 field goals. The Arizona's other touchdown, the only one they got, came on defense. And it was, you know, perhaps more the fault of the quarterback than it was anybody else. Sam Howell, the quarterback, gave what I would call a creditable performance. He was 19 for 31. He threw for a touchdown. His yardage was 202 yards, and he ran for a TD. A very nice run towards late in the game that put him ahead, and they held it. But he's got a fault that I thought was pretty evident, which is that he holds onto the ball for a very long time. He got sacked 6 times in this game, 46 yards lost, and that's part of the reason, not the only reason. They've got a kind of a questionable offensive line, I would say. But with that combination, a quarterback who holds the ball a long time and an offensive line that is questionable, could face some long afternoons. This coming week, they play Denver in Denver. Denver is favored by 3.5 in this game. They were, I think, I didn't see Denver's game, but my impression is they were a disappointment, and their quarterback, Russell Wilson, was a disappointment again. Nevertheless, you got to feel with Sean Payton as their coach that they'll be ready for this game, and I would tend to think that the odds are probably about right. And that's my report.
Okay. Anybody want to comment a little bit? No comments. All right. They like you.
I'd say one thing.
Yeah.
I hear tell on the radio that Russell Wilson is unfixable. So it might prove that they should have moved on from Russell Wilson. We shall see about that.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Let's move on. Let's go on to a couple of baseball stories. And did any of you guys watch the Old Timers Day? I was going to say game. There is no more game. The introductions. You saw that, Stephen? What'd you think?
I loved it, and I liked the interviews afterwards. They had a Q&A with Susan Waldman and Joe Torre. It was kind of interesting.
No, that's good.
Do you miss the game? You know, the game.
No, I don't care about the game. The game's a joke.
Yeah.
I know, but we used to watch the games. I don't know.
I've been to about 25 Yankee Old Timers.
Really?
Anybody see the press conference where they had Posada, Jeter, and Torre and those guys up there?
Yeah.
Did you hear the last question to Derek Jeter about what he thought about Old Timers Day and stuff like that? Did you like that question?
What did he say?
Yeah,
that it's a rebranding. The reason I'm asking about because it was my son who asked him the question.
Well,
About what do you think about being back on Old Timers Day? When he says, "Well, I want to rebrand Old Timers Day." I don't want to call it Old Timers when not Old Timers. We're just getting a little bit older.
How about retired players? I don't know.
Yeah.
Old timers is what they call it. But it was nice seeing some of those guys. And Severino, he's done for the year. You guys happy about that?
Who cares?
Well,
Team's done for the year.
Is he done as a Yankee?
I think so.
Is his
contract
up?
I think so.
His contract's up. They're not going to re-sign him, right?
No.
No. And how about they brought up Estevan Florial to replace the Martian?
Right. And he looks good.
Yeah.
He looks good.
Yeah.
You know, Mark, I just want to tell you,
Yeah.
he was designated for assignment. Not one of the 28
Nobody picked
teams
him up.
wanted him.
No one picked him up.
Figure that out.
You know, he's not a home run hitter, right? He's a singles hitter, right?
But he's 25 years old.
Center fielder, left field. Roger.
Didn't they say that about Dominic DiMaggio? He only hit singles, Mark?
Yeah.
I never saw Dom
No, I'm
DiMaggio.
just saying as an example. I mean,
I saw Juan Pierre play.
Yeah, right. A lot of speed.
he Rose hit a lot of singles too.
Yeah. So did you hear Stevie Cohen bought the rights of the New York team in a new golf league called the TGL? The league was developed by Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy. The league begins in January of 2024 on Prime TV. Cohen's club is the fourth of 6 they're going to have. I don't know how they're going to do this. There's a team in Atlanta, Arthur Blank. The Falcons owner is this one.
And Home Depot.
And there's a Boston, the Fenway Sports Group is the owner. Los Angeles has the Williams sisters, Serena and Venus, putting their money to be owners. How about that?
Are they going to draft golfers or?
I don't know how it's going to. I have no idea.
His money,
I have no idea what's going to work. But I saw his name, Gerald.
Mike, what did Steve Cohen say about buying the Jets? He once told me.
He thinks that football is too violent, and he's going to make sure there'll never be football in Queens as long as he's around. That's it.
A couple of names to write down to see how they progress along the way. The Mets have in Double-A a guy named Yoanda Suarez. He's a pitcher. He threw a no-hitter recently. And they have a 6'4" guy named Christian Scott, a pitcher in Double-A. And they recently promoted this guy, Jet Williams. He's a shortstop and outfielder. I haven't figured out where to put him. So those 3 names. And in Japan, there's this guy that they had 15 executives from 15 teams to see this guy last week. And Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he threw a no-hitter.
Wow.
They came and saw him. He threw a no-hitter. The Yankees, the Blue Jays, the Phils, the Diamondbacks, the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Giants are some of the teams that went to see him. I thought that's what we'll see.
Yeah, Cashman was over there.
Yeah. His second no-hitter, he has a record of 68-28, 1.84 ERA in the Nippon Pro League.
Mets need to get him.
Let's see. How about the Mike Trout may be available in a trade? If he wants to, if he's going to ask out, the Angels are going to cooperate and try to find a place for him. So Mike Trout,
He probably wants to go to the Phillies.
He's too injured.
Oh, God.
And talk about injuries. One second, Mike. Matt Scherzer to return. Yeah. So he has this right teres major strain.
Same thing as Verlander.
You know what? You're pointing back there. I didn't know where it was. I was going to ask Milton, but Milton, I think, flew the coop. There's Milton.
Milton's here.
The right teres major strain. You know what that is?
Milton's muted.
I think he's muted.
We never heard of it until Verlander, and I forget where it was.
Muscle located in the upper back. It's responsible for shoulder extension, adduction, and internal rotation. So I guess
39 years old. 39 years old.
Right? Isn't that what Verlander had? Same thing.
Yes.
You're right. I've heard that before. Go ahead, Gerald.
Yeah, Verlander has a pretty wife.
Scherzer's contract at the end of this year, it's his option whether to play next year. I wonder what he's going to decide.
What do you think?
Try to go back to the Mets.
How much? 35 million?
43 and a third million, I believe. He'll be getting
43 and a third million reasons why he's going to say yes.
For a few innings, but then he burns out.
Jerry, would you take him back?
No way. Come on.
So did you hear this story? The Yankees picked up this guy who they had originally years ago in 2006, Zach McAllister. What a great story this is. Drafted by the Yankees in 2006, the same class. I couldn't believe these names. Ian Kennedy, Jabba Chamberlain, Dylan Betances, Mark Melanson, David Robinson, all were part of that draft class. He never played for the Yankees at that time. He went to Cleveland, Detroit, the Dodgers, the Rangers, the Phils, the Cards, and the Diamondbacks were relief pitchers. They go all over the place. You know that.
He actually pitched for Cleveland when they went to the World Series.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
it's one of the articles said he pitched in the World Series.
Comes back to the Yankees after 17 years. He's 35 years old, so he was 18-year-old, I guess, when they picked him up. He had a great season this year with Scranton Wilkes-Barre, 1.62 ERA, and the only reason why they called him up because Jonathan Loizaga was injured. But good story. Good story. And if he pitches well at the end of the year, he could be come back next year. Right? And did you hear the story about the Marlins ball boy? He picked the ball up. He thought it was a foul ball. The ball was a fair ball.
Right.
He picked the ball and threw it into the stands. How about that? So I guess they call it automatic double, I guess.
Yes,
Double.
I saw that live. Yeah.
Yeah. Was he fired?
Yeah.
It's a kid. The batting races, the National League. Remember, in my opinion, I think Freddie Freeman's going to overtake Luis Arias, when I pronounce it, Arias.
Rise.
349, Luis. Freddie's 337, and Ronald Acuna Jr., don't rule him out, 335. So with 2 weeks to go, that should be every day you guys should look up to see who's got what. Matt Olson's up to 51 home runs.
Yeah.
31st player with 50 plus. He tied Andrew Jones for the all-time Braves single season. You know, I don't think Hank Aaron ever had 50 home runs.
48.
No.
48 was his highest.
Well, play those years. And Julio Rodriguez, who was asleep most of the year. And I sold his baseball card. I told you for just $400.
Why did you do it?
He was having a terrible year. What are we going to do? So now he became a 30-30 player. He got 30 homers, 30 steals. So he's having a pretty good year. And Donaldson.
Yeah, he got
a home run this first game. Maybe he always does that, right? Comes back from injury, hits a home run.
Was there anybody on base?
I don't know, but he hit a home run for the Brewers the other day. The Royals became the first team to lose 100 games. They're at 101. The A's hit the 100 mark yesterday.
Right.
Very interesting. And do you hear about this New York City councilman, Sean Abreu? He's planning on introducing a bill that would require sports arenas, stadiums, to allow patrons to bring in reusable beverage containers. He figures it reduces the garbage. Fans save on buying the drinks. They say single-use drinks are a waste problem. Might be recycled, but mostly goes in the streets or landfills if it does go in the garbage, not the recycle bin. It's an environmental issue. The retailers probably wouldn't like that, but he's introducing a bill for the environment. Gerald.
Regarding home runs and steals in a season, Acuna, I think, has over 30 homers and over 60 stolen bases. That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, he's your MVP. Hands down, he's your national MVP. Unless the
Betts isn't too bad either.
Huh? Who?
Mookie Betts isn't having too bad.
Mookie Betts has a great year, but I think Acuna's better, and Olson's home runs, he's having a good year too, Olson. Okay, so in football, let's see. We talked a lot of football.
Mark, before we leave football, one question.
We didn't come to
I read
football
an
yet.
interesting thing from Joe Namath. He said when he was traded to the Rams, before he got hurt, he was 2-1. But that's what happened is the Rams coach tried to stop him. I never knew that Namath used to tap the football before he threw it. It's like a tick. It's just a habit, right?
Okay.
And the coach on the Rams would not let it, was trying to teach him a whole different way, and Namath would not have any disrespect for the coach on the Rams and went along with what he was trying to do, and it messed them all up. But he was still winning till he got hurt, where that was the end of the career. But I never knew that football players have that. It's like a tennis player flipping their racket before or a pitcher punching his glove before he throws. You know, I never
But
knew
if he's
that.
back to pass,
Yeah, he would
he's gonna
tap the
pass. They
football.
know
He
he's
would
gonna
tap.
pass, so he does that. What difference does it make?
Yeah, he would tap the
I
football.
don't know how that affects.
His release was so fast.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. It didn't.
Meanwhile, I want to tell you something about Joe Namath. I did a lot of, we saw him play.
Oh yeah.
But we saw him play. Remember, most of us are New Yorkers here. So we saw him a lot. But a lot of people, a lot of sports writers and fans, don't believe he's a Hall of Famer.
He definitely
Bullshit.
is.
You mean just to lead the Jets to the Super Bowl doesn't make you a Hall of Famer because of his flashiness and his,
You know,
he shaved his mustache, the Fu Manchu off, made a lot of money.
He made the AFL equal to the NFL.
That's right.
After he won, he combined the leagues and.
All right. I'm sure there are pros and cons, but they say on the field.
I thought it was great.
So did I. Yep.
Check out his statistics on how
They're not that good.
on attempts and completions because they dropped a lot of balls because he threw the ball so fast, so hard. The Players Association want all fields to be grass now. Have you read that story? It happened yesterday. I started reading about that.
Yeah.
Because of Rodgers' injury.
They should have.
Never
They've
gonna
been saying
happen.
that for years, and they always should be.
Yeah.
I mean,
I didn't know that the Giants and Jets didn't have
no, they
grass.
put in a new kind of turf. But
Yeah.
the guy in the ex-Packers, he's right. He says, the Meadowlands, you're going to change the turf for soccer, but you don't give a damn about the football players. And he's 100% right.
Yeah. I'm gonna see how far that goes. You know what I mean? How much will it cost to change all? Well, I don't know how many fields are.
Well,
Does it cost for every time these players get injured?
they're going to do it because they're having the World Cup in soccer, in 2025, 26, whatever it is.
Yeah, maybe. Gerald, you found something?
Yeah, so Joe Namath had 3,762 attempts and pass completions 1,886, which is just about 50%.
Okay, not bad.
But you can't look at that again. You got to look how many of those passes were
know,
dropped.
there's another thought to that.
How many incompletions were there when he was when a quarterback's out of the pocket and
There's
nobody's
more-
open, he
there's-
just throw it away?
Yeah, the other thought to that is the
look at
Jets
raw
were not that good after they won this.
There's more than that.
He wasn't with his knees. He wasn't running anywhere.
Team.
He wasn't scampering around with those knees.
There's more to that. There's more to that also.
You can't look at raw numbers.
I think I don't have the statistics, but I think Namath threw a lot more longer balls than are thrown today. Way higher percentage of his passes were long.
There's
And it's
Don
always gonna
Maiden
be a
up
lower
on the left
percentage.
side, all the way down.
He didn't. I don't think he cared. About the percentage completion. He was a gunslinger. He was he was a cowboy.
Wait, not in the Super Bowl. He never threw a pass in the second half of the Super Bowl.
Didn't have to.
One pass. Eubank told him, "Why don't you pass the ball?" He says, "I don't have to."
Yeah.
So
Steve,
he knew what he was doing. He was smart.
Yes.
And he had
Well,
a
the
great arm.
defenses were also.
And let's not
different.
take anything away from him.
No.
You can't compare the statistics now with back in the '60s.
That's
because
right.
They played bump and run.
Yeah.
Cornerbacks were allowed to do a lot more.
They've changed the rules in the favor of the offense. So
But
great
meanwhile,
the last
he had great
decades, yeah.
receivers. They didn't drop too many passes.
No saying what he would have done today.
Okay.
He had Namath had great receivers, and they didn't drop too many passes.
Yeah.
No.
So I wouldn't blame any of that statistics.
Don
on
Maynard
drop
and George
passes.
Sauer.
They were.
And was Pete Lamons on that team? Pete Lamons?
Yep.
Yeah,
Tight end.
he's a tight end.
Plus the running backs were
He
no
was there. He
slouches
was there.
either.
Yes. Now,
You know who the center was? He sells insurance now.
John Schmidt from Hofstra.
Right.
yeah. Okay. Tonight there's a game, Vikings and Phils. You want to watch Thursday night?
Vikings and Eagles.
What did I say?
Phils. You said Vikings.
Phils, like Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
2 Monday night games coming up. How about that? A 7:15 game and an 8:15 game.
Yeah.
New Orleans, Carolina, and Cleveland and Pittsburgh should be. College, Alabama loses. Oh, I'm
Good.
so happy when
Good.
Alabama loses a game.
Good. Good.
I'm not a fan of Alabama ever.
You're-
They lost to Texas.
Yeah.
Georgia's still number
You
one.
Steely Dan.
Still number one, Georgia.
Georgia.
Colorado wins the second time.
My Bucks.
That's good. And remember, I told you about that last game, that Hawaii playing Albany, right?
Yeah.
What?
Hawaii won 31-20. Albany had to go to Hawaii to play them.
That was a competitive game.
31-20.
Albany has a football team.
Oh yeah, they've had it for years.
They must have.
They've had it for years, Joe.
But they traveled to Hawaii. Imagine if
On
you
our
were a kid on
tax
that trip.
dollar.
Fantastic for those kids. Fred, I have 3 colleges for you. Tell me where they are.
Because I saw a couple I don't know.
Mercyhurst University.
That's one of the ones. I'm gonna take a guess. They're somewhere in the Midwest and say Missouri.
that Michigan?
But I don't know.
You're wrong. Anybody else?
Michigan?
No, it's Erie, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Fred, where is Millersville University?
Oh, that's Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
It's State
I've
University.
never heard that. Aurora University?
Probably either Illinois, Aurora, Illinois.
Aurora,
But I was hoping you weren't going to ask me about where Shorter University was.
I don't know. I just saw 3.
SHORTER. I saw their name in the box. I said, "Who the hell is Shorter University?"
I'll find
Did you look it up, Fred?
No,
I'll
I didn't.
find a few each week for you and for those other people. So in basketball, we have any basketball? We had the basketball.
Yeah. The Liberty is starting the playoffs. They're playing the Washington Mystics in a 2 out of 3, which is an interesting format because the first 2 games are in Brooklyn. So that if the Mystics should steal a game, they'll have the home court advantage for the deciding game.
I think
why they did that.
There's something weird about that. Doesn't the team with the better record have a choice of the first 2 or the third?
I'm not sure.
I think that's what the deal was.
You may be right, Steve. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
And Brianna Stewart got the MVP, right?
Yeah,
Right,
good for
she
her.
did,
They had a fantastic season.
Yeah, I think
second
that
place overall.
I think they're the second seed behind
Las
Vegas.
Vegas. Yeah, so hopefully maybe the Liberty can bring their first championship to.
They never had a championship. Now, if they win the whole thing, of course, we're talking down the line there. Will there be a parade?
Why not?
Why not? Come on, save your money. I don't know.
In Brooklyn, downtown Brooklyn.
Downtown Brooklyn, right. Go around the block a couple of times.
I don't know what they say. I mean, they didn't do a parade when what's the names? Wasn't there a soccer team?
NYC, FC, whatever it is.
Didn't they win a couple of years ago?
They won the championship, but what they get, I don't know.
know.
Of course, the U.S. Didn't win the World Cup.
No,
the basketball.
They didn't even win the bronze game.
Came in 4th place, and right away, LeBron James says, "I'm ready for the Paris 2024." And he's recruiting all his buddies to play in the Olympics.
Anybody get a look at what the NBA wants to do? I don't know all the full details, but trying to make sure that star players play in games and
Yes, I think they're not allowing them to sit out players the way they do it.
I was watching ESPN and that, but one of the women on the show had a good point. They're talking about all the veteran players, but how are they going to do anything like the San Antonio Spurs want to sit out Victor Wembanyama, who is, who everybody's going to want to see to play. They got first guy draft choice from France. So
they say, what considers a star? Imagine that you're on that team, and only stars we're concerned about.
One of the criteria was what if you're named to an All NBA team in the last 3 years, and there was another criteria which escapes me.
I think an All-Star.
An All-Star, right, in the last few years.
Didn't their coach start the whole thing?
Yeah.
Originally?
Who's that?
The coach of the Spurs.
Popovich.
Popovich,
yeah.
Sorry, I forgot his name.
Right.
Yeah. So a team is fined $100,000 for their first rule break, and $250,000 for the second, and $1 million for each one after that.
But I mean, who's to say if a guy is injured? I don't know.
Yeah, these guys are going to say they have a cramp or they pulled muscle.
Yeah.
And what did Giannis say? He will seek out of Milwaukee if he sees the team is not going in as to win a championship.
Right. because besides him, well, he's not aging, but a lot of their core players, Middleton, Lopez, are all 32, 33.
Yeah.
He wants to see what's going to happen with them.
I don't know.
Holidays or other guys.
Then this Kevin Porter Jr. story came about.
Yeah.
And the interesting, you guys heard about that story? He was arrested and charged with fracturing his girlfriend's vertebrae
Yeah.
in assault in a hotel room.
Wow.
Also gave her a deep cut over her eye.
And strangulation.
Strangulation, charged with felony assault. And his girlfriend is a former WNBA player.
Yeah.
I never heard of her name.
Yeah.
He's released, ordered to stay away from the girl. And the DA's office is calling this a serious domestic violence case. And then the funny part about it is he's a Rocket, and the Rockets are looking to trade him. Anybody want him?
I don't think so.
Pick up his salary?
Isn't he going to get suspended if he gets convicted?
I don't,
He'll be suspended for sure.
And the oldest living NBA player died at 101 years old.
Who's that?
Wow.
I never heard this guy. Stanley Vanita.
Never heard of him.
He played combined 59 games for Tri-Cities and Baltimore in 49 and 50. NBA recognized him last year as the first 100-year-old ex-player.
Wow.
He only averaged 5.3 points in that season with 2.4 assists, 101, whatever. Stanley Vanita. What were the Tri-Cities? What were the Tri-Cities? Anyone know what the Tri-Cities were?
Iowa.
Oh,
Yeah.
Tri-Cities is an actual name?
I
thought
think
it
it's
was three cities that made up.
What?
Okay. That sounds right.
What are the Tri-Cities?
No, he says it was
Moline
Iowa.
and two other cities.
Also, Troy, Schenectady, and
Yeah,
Albany,
it was something
I
like
think.
Oh, maybe it's that one, yeah.
Did you guys ever hear of, I'm sure you have, Carl Hagelin, the hockey player?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Play with
Like
the
the
Rangers.
Rangers.
Swedish
sure.
Ranger. He retired at 35 years. He was just 35 years old. Retired due to an eye injury. He hadn't played in over a year and a half.
Yeah, you got a stick in the eye or a puck in the eye. I forget what it was.
He made news. He's played for the Rangers, the Ducks, the Kings, the Penguins, the Caps. 854 games in 11 seasons. And
One of the fastest skaters I've ever seen.
He's very good in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hagelin. And let's see what else I had here. So remember we talked about a few weeks ago about Inter Miami? So Larry, who's not on the air today, texted me. He says, you know why it's called Inter Miami? Because the name is Club Internacional del Football Miami. That's their real name. Okay.
Yeah.
And how about this story? I'll try to do this fast. Chess. Chess is a sport, right?
No.
Sure.
Chess is a sport.
No. No.
It's an intellectual game.
Global chess official. Listen to this. A top global chess official called for more research into whether factors such as hormone levels and physical endurance might have an impact on players' ability at the male-dominated sports. Now listen to this. The top global official. Her comments came after the World Chess Federation was heavily criticized for its decision to block transgender women from official women's chess events. There's a lot of words there. Anyway, you don't seem impressed. So why don't we go on to trivia? When in doubt, go on to trivia and stump the panel. So we'll start with Milton.
All right. Who did Sonny Liston win the heavyweight championship?
Like Patterson.
Who?
Patterson.
Yeah. And by the way, it was James Brown that when he used the speed bag, the song was Night Train by James Brown.
Oh.
And Milton, one more for you. When Ali fought Liston, who sang the national anthem in Lewiston, Maine, and messed it
Robert
up?
Goulet.
Robert Goulet.
Is that right?
And he screwed it up.
Who forgot the lyrics?
Yeah.
And you're right, he forgot the lyrics.
Fred, you're muted.
All right, you're Fred.
Hey, who did break the record of? Whose record did Molina and Wainwright break for most games by a battery?
Baron Ford.
Nope.
Roseboro and Drysdale.
Nope. Nope.
Gibson and McCarver.
Nope. I give you a hint. This guy pitched later in his career for the Mets.
Spahn?
No.
Randall?
No.
The guy from the Braves?
This guy was a World Series MVP.
What year?
I'm not sure. Well, the year he's the MVP, if I'll give it away, it's 1968.
Bob Gibson and
No, the Detroit guy.
Mickey
Lolich.
Yeah, not
Mickey
McLean, the
Lolich.
other
and
one.
Freehand.
Right. The
Lolich.
Mickey Lolich and Bill Freehand.
Freehand.
Bill Freehand.
Oh,
Wow.
oh, I never thought of that.
Okay. Who else has a question? He went. All right, Michael, go ahead.
Okay, I just saw the documentary. So, who was John McEnroe's most frequent partner in doubles?
Brother?
No.
Connors.
Peter Fleming.
Who said that? That's right.
Hey, Milton.
Milton, all right. Brings it out. Take it out of here. Very good.
By the way, the Mets are winning 7-0.
All right.
Oh, good.
The Yankees losing
Not so much
4-0.
pressure on the bullpen then.
What manager had the most ejections in his career?
Earl Weaver.
Cox.
Bobby Cox.
Weaver.
Bobby Cox by a mile.
Oh, really?
162. The next one was John McGraw at 121.
I was going to say Billy Martin.
Billy Martin's not in the top 10.
Oh,
Wow. DeRocha, Weaver, LaRussa, Frankie
yeah,
Frisch,
yeah.
Ron
Weaver.
Gardenhire, 84, Paul Richards, Bruce Bochy,
Wow.
and Jim Leland was number 10.
I got another one more.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Who is the only major league player to have 3 consecutive years of 100 RBIs or more with 3 different teams?
Ooh.
Olympus. No, it wasn't
that makes it
Cepeda.
hard.
3 different teams.
3 different teams. The only reason I noticed it was in yesterday's paper of this day in baseball, because I'll give you the years: 89, 90, and 91.
Wow.
So someone had to be on 3 different teams in 3 years.
Yeah, 89 he was on one team, 90 in another, 91.
Oh, the outfielder with the Tigers and then the Blue Jays.
You got the Blue Jays part right, but not the Tigers.
Blue Jays.
91 was the Blue Jays. You're right.
Carter?
Joe Carter is right.
That's who I was thinking.
89 Indians, 90 Padres, and 91.
Padres. I forgot he was a Padre. All right, Michael.
I'll enjoy asking this question. In the last 4 years, how many of those years did the Red Sox end up in last place?
2.
2.
3.
That Bobby Valentine managed them. They came in last.
From the top 10 players with the most hits in a career that are not in the Hall of Fame, we all know Pete Rose is first, obviously. He has the most hits ever. Who do you think is number 2?
Rafael
A-Rod?
Palmeiro.
Palmeiro's number 7.
Rodriguez.
Which one? Alex?
Alex.
He's number 5.
Mattingly.
No, he's not there.
Joe
No.
Jackson.
No.
He didn't play long enough.
2 of them are 3 of the number 2, 3, and 4
Miguel,
are sure
Miguel
to get into the
Cabrera.
Hall of Fame.
Miguel Cabrera.
Miguel Cabrera, when I wrote this, 31.58, and right ahead of him is Adrian Beltre at 31.66. That's 12 difference, but Miguel is not hitting the home runs this year, and he's not. He's lucky he's getting out. Albert Pujols is number 2 at 33.84. Of course, he'll get in. But amazing on the list is besides Ichiro, he's up there, number I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Palmeiro, Bonds, Vizquel. Johnny Damon is number 10.
Oh, wow.
Johnny Damon, 27, 69. How about that? A few more questions.
I got them.
Who's got one?
Steve.
I got one.
I got you. Go.
Two players have had 3 hits in 1 inning. Who are they?
Wow.
One
How many
year-
runs scored?
Well,
One inning.
one of the teams scored 10 runs before there was an out in the first inning.
So this guy had 3 hits in 1 inning.
2 of them. They had to be the leadoff batters.
Yeah,
That's a hint.
The inning. So
You got to give us hints. We have no clue.
One probably still owed some money from the Yankees. But he played most of his career with a different team, with the Red Sox.
Ellsbury.
No.
Damon? No.
No.
Yeah, Johnny Damon.
Really? I just guessed.
Was Johnny
that he
3
played for both
times?
teams. I just
3
knew he played
times
for
in
both
their
teams.
first
That's why I
inning.
guessed.
And the other guy, no one will heard. I mean, we heard of him, but Gene Simmons. Not Gene Simmons, Gene Stevens.
Oh,
Gene
yeah.
Stevens.
The Washington Senators.
How many
Yeah,
runs?
well,
Wait,
he could've
how
been
many
the Browns.
runs? If they get 2 outs, and then that's 7
The
and
Red Sox,
9 is 16 batters come up.
You need 19 batters.
That's 13 runs. 13 runs.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
the Red Sox scored 10 runs before there was an out in that game.
Right.
Wow.
Who got a question? Are we stumping?
Can't
Well,
think of
okay,
anything.
Michael.
Michael.
What's the most notable thing Marcus Thames has ever done?
Didn't he catch someone's 500th home run or something? In the
Something
bullpen?
about a home run.
Hit a home
Something
run
about-
first time up.
Off of who?
Oh, I don't know.
Off a Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer?
Right.
Gotcha Clemens?
Taller than Clemens.
What?
Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson, right.
Yeah. Much told.
I thought he
Fred,
caught
go ahead.
A-Rod's
Anybody.
500th
Yeah,
home
Fred.
run.
Who's the only coach to win an NFL championship before there was an AFC and a Super Bowl?
You win what?
An NFL championship, prior to the formation of the American Football League Conference and the Super Bowl.
Vince Lombardi.
No.
Before a Super Bowl.
Weeb Eubank.
Weeb Eubank.
Weeb Eubank. That's right.
Oh.
The Colts and the Jets.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Michael.
Yeah, right.
Couple more.
That's
Get
right.
one
Yeah,
close to the time here.
yeah, that's right.
When Jim Lee Howell was the coach of the Giants, who were his famous assistant coaches?
Vince Lombardi, Tom Landry.
You got it.
Yeah. All right, as we go off the air today, I'm going to play a little song which someone sent me today. I don't have the whole song. I have maybe a half of the song, but you'll enjoy the song while you're closing up your shop. It's a Rosh Hashanah song. I hope you like it. I've never heard this one before. It's a takeoff from the Sound of Silence. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Simon. I'm
Yeah,
going
so we're going to close
Happy
off.
New Year, everybody. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody. We'll see
Everybody.
you soon. Have a great week.
You too.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Night, everyone.
Get this thing working. I'm not getting it working.
Uh-oh.
Come on, Mark. Get it work. You can say goodbye if you want. I can't. What's going on here? Come on, Mark. Can you hear it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember Sounds of Sounds?
It's that time of year again. Summer has come to an end. The air is cooler and leaves are changing. Trees are waking early, no sleeping. Hanging shoes all across the world they hear. The sound is clear. It's the sound of the shofar.
The chauffeur.
And each one is not alone. Its voice is heard across the globe.
Is that you singing, Mark?
You hear hear it, then you'll know for sure that it's time for you to return to who you were. Feel your soul stir from the sound of the shofar. And as we all gather around and listen to that thunderous sound, we all stand without speaking. We all stand there listening, and we yearn to remain close to Hashem this year again. From the sound of the shofar, and on Rosh Hashanah day, as we stand in the zone and pray, we are asking for the world of life, peace and happiness and no more strife. And we ask Hashem to abolish all our fears. No one dare disturb the sound of the shofar.
All right, guys, it's gonna stop pretty soon. Have a great holiday, guys. Lashana
You
Tova.
too.
Thank
You
you.
too. Thank you, everybody.
And we'll
Jeff,
see you all
take care.
next
Good
week.
luck next week, Jeff.
Jerry, take care.
Bye,
Jeff,
guys.
good luck next week, Jeff.
Thank you, Jerry.
Have a
I
great
just
week.
Thank
saw
you,
it
Jerry.
on YouTube. See you,
Take care,
Jerry.
Mark.
Bye, guys.
See you.
I'll see you in shul.